efforts to keep the India flag high in a foreign land over the years as ambassadors of India. Each one of you is truly a gem for India. It was wonderful to meet some of the association heads before I came into this beautiful room. And I realized that we have almost every part of India present in Paris, in France. We have different professions, different walks of life, different religions, different languages. And that's truly what defines India. As I speak, we are celebrating Easter, and I wish all of you happy Easter. I'm sure you must have had a good, long weekend here. We've just recently celebrated Navratri in India. We had Ram Navami, we had Hanuman Jayanti on the 6th. Ramzan is being celebrated through the country. A country with diversity like India, with different languages. Of course, while on the one hand we can talk of 22 languages, if we were to get down to dialects, I think we have a new dialect every few kilometers in the country. We have different food tastes, different cultures, traditions, family value systems, and that's what defines India. That's truly the greatness of our wonderful country, which is finding its space in the Committee of Nations with a renewed vigor, with a new energy. And that's the new India that I represent before you this afternoon in Paris. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has over the last 9 years imparted a new energy to the way India works, to the way India thinks, and the way India delivers. Never before, I think, have we received the kind of respect that each one of us Indians and India as a nation receives across the world. Never before has an Indian passport held the value that we can proudly claim today as we travel across the world or in our chosen professions in the place where we work and live. And this new respect for India comes out of hard work, comes out of big thinking, comes out of respect for our unity in diversity, comes out of the several measures taken over the last 9 years, reflecting a change in the way India thinks, in the way India presents itself to the rest of the world. Friends, India has had a glorious history. If we go back in time, we contributed significantly to the world, whether in terms of our economic contribution, our contribution in terms of knowledge, our contribution in terms of culture. And then we had several years where we got into a long period where we lost a lot of that glory. 1947, as we became an independent nation, India started regaining our place in the world. This year, we are celebrating 25 years of our partnership with Paris, with France, but 75 years of India's independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. While it's a great moment to reflect on all the good things that we've achieved in 75 years, it's a great moment to celebrate our successes, our hits, our achievements, but it's also an opportunity for each one of us to reflect on new ideas, to reflect on how we wish to see India in the next 25 years, next 50 years as we go forward. Friends, the country has made good progress over the years. But I would like to delve upon certain very nuanced changes which sometimes we don't realize have a very, very important and significant impact on a nation. Many of you would recall there was a time not too far back in history where we would struggle for food, clothing and shelter. Movies were made around roti, kapda or makan. The day has not been very far back when India used to receive food supplies from other parts of the world. It is not too long back, and I met somebody from Ekal Vidyalaya as I was being introduced to some of the community leaders. It's an organization that helps in tribal education and supports the tribal communities to get mainstreamed. It's not too far back. I remember as a child going to some of the tribal areas with my mother, and we were told the women could not all come out to receive us at the same time because there were not enough saris at home. And you would have one woman come out, maybe greet you, go back in before the other lady could come out of her home. We all are aware how many families were deprived of a good quality shelter, a home. Again, you will recall movies being made on how a common family, a middle class family, a salary earner or a farmer would be saving small sums of money so that he could have his own home sometime in life. I don't know if you remember the Amol Palekar movie Gharonda. Some of you may remember it. Very common, small, middle class husband and wife looking for a home, almost like it was a mirage. Of course, education, healthcare, these had their own challenges. In the last few years, the last 9 years, one of the basic thrusts that Prime Minister Modi has focused on has been addressing the needs of every single person in the country, particularly those at the lowest strata of society, the people at the bottom of the pyramid, to ensure that the basic needs of every Indian are taken care of. Javed Bhai did refer to nearly 800 million people receiving free food grains for 28 months at a cost of nearly 50 billion US dollars through the COVID period, so that not a single person, not a single child had to sleep hungry in the most difficult of times, the once in a lifetime, once in a century pandemic. It's reported, and while I don't know whether there are any credible or verifiable data, but from sources that are available publicly, I'm given to understand that more people died in India from hunger during the Spanish flu than the number of people who died due to the Spanish flu itself 100 years ago. This time around, we did not have a single person who did not have food grain, who did not have a meal, all through the COVID period. Something that the world was very worried about. The world was concerned how 1.4 billion Indians will be taken care of, particularly when we had the world's strictest lockdown to contain COVID, reduce the losses. Prime Minister Modi showed the way. Today there would be no family in the country which does not have adequate clothing. Nearly 35 million families have received a free home, completely free, so that every single child will have a good shelter. And I think each one of us realizes, particularly those of you who have been privileged to be able to come to a country like France, the value of your environment, the value of a good home. Some of the older friends here will recognize and realize how difficult life was in the villages before they came to Europe. 35 million homes, ladies and gentlemen, is not a small number. You have effectively transformed nearly 150 million people's lives. Most of you will recall, maybe not the younger children or those who were born here, a time where half of India, 50% of our population, did not have a toilet. You may think I am a movie buff, and you won't be wrong if you think that way. But there were songs made in films in which we showed women going to the fields before sunrise. Half of India, until 2014, did not have a toilet. Governments came and went, leaders came into government, came into office and went, but somehow that sensitivity was missing, that our mothers, our sisters, our daughters deserve better dignity, deserve a life of respect and dignity which can't come without even a basic amenity like a toilet at home. Prime Minister Modi himself, coming from very humble background, from a small village in Gujarat, having worked his way up, literally selling tea at a railway station in his young days to pay for his education, recognized and realized the importance of these basic needs. Friends, 115 million toilets were constructed throughout the country. 115 million families. So that today, not a single sister has to face the indignity of not having this facility at home. We call it an Izzat Ghar, a home of, a place of respect, a place of dignity. Nearly half the people of India did not have access to cooking gas in their homes. I remember going to my grandmother's home where she used to be fanning the traditional cooking chula, as they called it, the stove, which used coal or wood. And the amount of smoke, I'm told, was equivalent to 400 cigarettes, which a woman would take into her body through the day from breakfast to dinner, cooking on that traditional stove. One of the first actions was to ensure that through the length and breadth of the country, everybody gets access to cooking gas, so that today, nearly every home in the country has a cooking gas connection. We are now rapidly moving out beyond the LPG cylinders, which we've all seen, to piped gas, natural gas connection to every home, which not only makes it more affordable, but cleaner and more effective way of delivery. There were times where families did not have enough in their home to be able to treat somebody who fell ill. And any savings in the family would either get exhausted, or rather, more often than not, the family would come into debt if even a single person at home had an illness which needed extensive health care. We heard of many cases where families literally spent the whole life paying back loans taken for somebody's treatment. Prime Minister Modi launched the Ayushman Bharat Yojana, the world's largest healthcare scheme, with 500 million people being entitled to free healthcare. Nearly 1,800 different types of operations and other medical diseases being cured free of charge for 500 million people, so that no child, no older person, no person in India ever gets ill and is deprived of health care or is left to his fate. Free education for all our children. The new national education policy also promoting liberal education, so that those days, and many of us here, including me, are victims of a time where graduation was the norm. You had to be a graduate. In fact, I couldn't pursue my CA studies until I first did a BCom, because you needed a graduation at that point of time before you could even become a chartered accountant. We are getting out of those old fetishes, those old historical thinking, and reforming the entire country's way of working, way of developing the country to make it more contemporary. And this reform that Prime Minister Modi is focusing on does not come out of compulsion. It comes out of conviction. A conviction where you care for 140 crore people, 1.4 billion Indians. A conviction where you believe that every citizen, every person living in India has a right to a good quality of life. Where you take mobile penetration to 800 million people, where today broadband is available in every village almost. 4G technology has reached the remotest parts of India, where digital connectivity is transforming lives through the length and breadth of the country, where today electricity is available for every home, for every office, for every factory, where water, which was another social evil where women were required to take pots on their head and go kilometers away to get water for their daily needs, is now going to every home through a pipe connection under the Jal Jeevan Mission. You may wonder, what has the Commerce and Industry Minister got to do with all of this? I think these are the building blocks. These are the enablers that today prepared India to work in this new age of technology, to provide a better quality of life for our people, but also build a nation of aspirational young Indians looking for a better future, working for a better future, and thereby contributing to India's economy, India's trade, India's commerce. Because still you are struggling with the basic needs of life. You don't look for televisions in your home. You don't look for smartphones. Till you find more and more women into the workforce, you're not going to need washing machines and dishwashers. And therefore, these basic amenities, the basic needs of every single family, of every single Indian being taken care of, were an essential foundational building block for a young India to start aspiring for much, much bolder and bigger, audacious goals in life. And that's what this period of 9 years has done for India, has done for every Indian. Today, with every Indian empowered with skills, with talent, with the basic requirements assured, taken care of, we have a young India which on their smartphone or on their television sets is watching Paris, is watching Sydney, is watching Tokyo, is seeing all the good things that are available and happening around the world. And that's what builds the fire in the belly, that hunger to achieve bigger and better, that desire to have all the good things in life. With more and more women coming into the workforce, with India moving rapidly towards adopting sustainability as the core of our working principles, with India looking at manufacturing through the Make in India program as a driver of economic growth, with India becoming the service provider to the world, particularly in information technology, given the large pool of talent that we have, we are today emerging as the go-to country, as the pharmacy of the world, as the food bowl of the world, as a trusted partner to other countries, both developed world and the less developed or developing world. Everybody is looking up to Prime Minister Modi's leadership to resolve the challenges that the world is facing today. And they see in him not only the most popular leader in the world, or as the Italian Prime Minister only last month mentioned, the most loved leader in the world, but as a leader with the heart in the right place, with a modern bent of mind, and with a commitment never seen before, a commitment to care for India, to care for the world. And as we took on the G20 presidency, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family. The world is our family. And with our theme, One Earth, One Family, One Future, I think the ethos of India has been presented to the world. And today the entire world is looking up to Prime Minister Modi's leadership to actually take this message and find the solutions that the world needs to bring back economic growth, to bring back better and safer world to live in. In fact, friends, if you look at India's story, it's incomplete without looking a little bit into the future. Where does India go from here? And why India? We are today a $3.5 trillion economy. We are the 5th largest economy in the world. We used to be 10th barely a decade ago. We are now the 5th largest economy. My guess or my estimate is that by 2027 or latest 2028, we'll be the 3rd largest economy in the world. Do we rest on our laurels there? I don't think any of us in this room would be satisfied with that. In the last 25 years, given all the problems that I've just highlighted to you, Indian economy grew 10 times. We had a 10x growth in the last 25 years to become a $3.2 trillion economy last year, roughly a $3.5 trillion economy this year. Where do we go from here? Even on a business as usual case, without all these transformative initiatives, India will be a $30 to $35 trillion economy by 2047, when we celebrate 100 years of independence. And look at the delta of opportunity from $3.5 trillion to 35 trillion. Can you imagine what huge opportunity India offers to the rest of the world? And this, friends, is on a business as usual case. When you look at the way our startups are working, when you look at the way our trade is growing, Ashraf Bhai just mentioned about our exports. Friends, we were at about $500 billion of exports in the year 2021. From $500 billion in 2021, goods and services, we grew to $676 billion in 21-22, March 22. That's almost, what, 35%? Everybody said we've peaked out. We just can't go ahead after this. Most people, most skeptics, and we have a fair share of skeptics who even run down the motherland both in India and abroad, unfortunately. People thought 676 has been too rapid a growth. We won't be able to grow from here. We had a target, and if I may use a Hindi word to reflect the sentiment of our business persons, of the young India that you all also come from, एक जनून था, एक जज्बा था. There was a fire, there was a deep desire in each Indian that in this 75th year of independence, we must cross the Rubicon of 750 billion in our exports from India. It was not easy. There were challenges all the way through. The World Bank kept revising every estimate of international trade downwards. Finally, they came down to say the world trade is going to grow by 1%. I'm happy to share with you, not only did we cross the Rubicon of 750 billion, we'll be beyond 765 billion, possibly touching 770 billion as the final figures come. Back home in India, I would have probably quoted Shah Rukh Khan. Maybe in France, I'll have to quote Paul Coelho. But both said the same thing. I don't know if you saw the movie where Shah Rukh Khan says, अगर किसी चीज की चाहत बहुत शिद्दत से हो, you really desire something, very deep desire to achieve something, पूरी कायनात मिल जाती है आपको उस चीज को पाने के लिए. The whole universe conspires to help you achieve what you deeply desire. और मुझे लगता है भारत के 140 करोड़ लोग, आप सब जो भारत के यहाँ पे राजदूत के रूप में काम कर रहे हैं, सबकी जो एक इच्छा थी कि भारत पुरानी बातों से उभरे, एक नए भारत की तरफ जाए, एक नया भारत जिसमें काबिलियत भी है, शौहरत भी है, और जो एक विश्व को ताकत देने में भी अग्रसर रहे. A new India which is showing the path to the rest of the world. A new India with capability. A new India with capacity. A competent India, a confident India. That is the India that each one of you represents. And I think in your work, in your contribution to France, to Paris, I'm sure you will make India proud. You will contribute to your nation where you have chosen to live. And we respect and appreciate the contributions you are doing, both to your Karma Bhumi, which is today France, and to your Matra Bhumi, your motherland, which nobody can take away from you. And today, it is for no other reason but our growing ability to capture the moment that we are able to come up with such outstanding results, whether it's on the social space, whether it's in ESG, or our efforts towards a more inclusive yet diverse society, or in the space of the economy. In every sphere, the world is looking up to India. We are looking at expanding our trading relationships with other parts of the world. Significant strategic partnerships are being built up, and our partnership with France is certainly something we deeply value. 25 years as a strategic partner, of course, 75 years as our friend. But ever since 1998, when Prime Minister Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee visited France, and we received the support of France during a very critical moment in history for us in 1998. From then until Prime Minister Modi's outreach and desire to make France our preferred partner in a variety of ways, whether it's defense, whether it's the economy, whether it's investments. I think this 25-year journey truly is reflective of India's journey of progress. And therefore, when I say the delta of opportunity in the next 25 years takes us from a $3.5 trillion economy to a $35 trillion economy, I'm sure each one of you here recognizes that this partnership with France also will be seen, I hope, more than a 10x growth, much, much more. And in every sphere of life, be it culture, be it our historical engagement, be it foodstuffs, taste of France coming to India, Indian palate coming to France, be it our art, being our traditional systems of handicrafts, handlooms. There's so much that we can offer to France, and so much that France can offer to India and gain from India, whether it's opportunities or whether it's friendship. And therefore, I come to Paris this time with a desire to strengthen this partnership, to further the wonderful relationship we have with France, and to assure each one of you that back home, your country, your motherland, under the very, very decisive, very, very focused, very, very sensitive and big vision leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is making rapid strides, is ensuring that 1.4 billion Indians, young India, is ready to engage with the rest of the world, is ready to power India's growth story, is working relentlessly to give leadership to the world, whether it is the economies of the world, whether it's the field of art, culture, tradition, whether it's yoga or it's millets. In every walk of life, we are there with you. Let us all work together in this spirit of camaraderie, in this spirit of oneness. Let us all ensure that together, France and India and the people of France and the people of India and our vibrant Indian community in France, acting as a true living bridge between the two countries, will relentlessly pursue a path that augurs well for the people of both countries, that will further strengthen our ties with France, and I'm sure the country will receive your blessings, your support in each one of our efforts, whether it is to attract investments, whether it is to expand trade, whether it's to bring technology back home, whether it's to invite tourists to India. So many different ways in which the Indian community in France can contribute in this journey, the Amrit Kal, that Prime Minister Modi has given to our nation, the direction, the vision of a developed nation by 2047 will be incomplete without each one of you also walking through this journey with those of us back home in India. And I invite you, come to India, come as tourists, come to meet your family and friends, come to do your weddings in India, maybe enjoy the taste of millets in this International Year of Millets. I don't know whether any of you benefits or enjoys doing yoga, but I can tell you that I started doing yoga nearly 3 years ago. It was a July meeting with the Honorable Prime Minister, July 15th or 16th in 2020 in the midst of COVID. And I don't know if you've heard me before on television or anywhere, you must have noticed even today, I had a perpetual problem with my throat. I couldn't run through a whole speech without croaking and creaking. And I have a sister from back home from my childhood days who's in the room here. She would probably recall. And Prime Minister said, "You want to sort out your throat's problem?" I said, "Of course, who wouldn't like to do it?" He said, "Will you do what I tell you? Tum karoge jo main kahunga." Literally like that. "Tum karoge jo main kahunga." I said, "Pakka karunga, sir." He said, "Kal se yoga karo." I said, "I'll get hold of a teacher and I'll start doing yoga." And we continued with the rest of the meeting. It got over. It was 5 o'clock or so in the evening. We did the rest of our discussions. Meeting got over. Since Javed Bhai has worked in the Prime Minister's core team in his office, this story will resonate very well with him because he must have seen millions of such examples working there. And I came home. I frankly thought कि अभी ढूंढता हूँ कोई योगा की टीचर को बुलाते हैं किसको पकड़ते हैं. It was a Friday evening. तो I thought अभी करते हैं अगले हफ्ते कुछ करेंगे. Next morning, Saturday early morning, the Prime Minister's assistant calls me up. And he talks in Gujarati. I saw there were some Gujarati friends also over here. And to give you the sense of the feeling I had that day, I'll say it in Gujarati, I'll translate for the rest. He says, "Sahib, તમે ઘરે છો?" I said, "અત્યારે તો ઘરે જ છું સવારે." "તમે ફ્રી છો?" "હા, ફ્રી છું, સેટરડે મોર્નિંગ છે." તો સાહેબ કહે છે કે આચાર્યજીને તમારી ત્યાં મોકલવાનું છે. શું થયું? નહીં, તમે કહેતા હતા તમે યોગા કરવા માંગો છો. I was stunned. I said, "Shall I send my car to get him from the Prime Minister's house?" Again, "ના, हमारी गाड़ी ત્યાં જ લઈ આવશે." So basically what happened was I get a call Saturday morning, next morning, early morning, from the Prime Minister's assistant, Deepak Bhai, since you know him. And he says, "Are you at home?" I said, of course I'm at home, it's so early in the morning. Are you free? Look at the sensitivity. This is the Prime Minister's representative calling. Are you free? I said, yes, of course I'm free. So Prime Minister wants to send his teacher, his Acharya, to your home. Can he come? I said, I'll send my car to get him over. He says, no. The Prime Minister's office car will leave him to your home. And since that day, until yesterday, today I just landed in Paris, I have not had a chance to do yoga. Otherwise, normally when I'm traveling, we do it online. That has kept me going so that I could speak to you this evening. And I think that is the hallmark of a true leader. A leader who cares for his team, a leader who cares for the people, a leader who cares for 1.4 billion people. Through his life, he has dedicated himself to all of us. No family, no personal ambitions except a great country, a happy country, a prosperous country, a country that each one of us dreams and desires to see in India. That is a sensitive Prime Minister's vision for India. I invite each one of you. I invite each one of you to be a part of that vision. I invite each one of you to be with us in this journey as we make sure that India finds its rightful place in the Committee of Nations. As Prime Minister said on 15th August, yahi samay hai, sahi samay hai. This is the time. This is the right time. Let's grab this opportunity. I don't think the stars align themselves so well again and again. The stars are aligned. The time is right. It's an opportune moment. It's our moment to seize. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your enriching words of wisdom. Now, I would again like to invite His Excellency, Ambassador of India to France and Monaco, Shri Javed Ashraf, to introduce the Indian community to our Honorable Minister. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, first of all, really a word of gratitude. Deepest thanks for your rousing speech, not just about the compassionate India, the growing India, the innovative India, the transforming India, a growth in which even the remotest, the farthest, the weakest, the most vulnerable is at the center and at the front of Prime Minister's vision and his policy. That really means a lot to those who are here, but also in the manner in which you connected the Indian community here and the community abroad to India emotionally and also in terms of the opportunities. I think people would have realized that more than the figures, more than the data, it is the human dimension of our transformation which is so different and which is so unique and distinct now. But before I invite you again on stage, I wanted to say a word about the Indian community here. And first of all, let me assure you that I am amazed at how popular yoga is over here. There is absolutely, must be the most popular in anywhere in the world. Not just because of the Indian community, and we have some great yoga teachers here, but also because of a large number of people who are ethnically French, who are from here, who have gone on to become great yoga teachers and have popularized this so much over here that you actually begin to believe that yoga is as much part of France as it is of India. So I'd like to compliment everyone here for that. There is something else I wanted to say, and to you in particular. When we think of the Indian community abroad, we think of the United States, we think of the Gulf, we think of perhaps Australia, UK. But I can assure you that the community here, not as large as those in those countries for historical reason, is truly impressive, truly dynamic, accomplished, deeply committed to both be a window to India's heritage, be the ambassadors that you wanted them to be, but also be the bridge that you have asked them to be between our two countries. There are those who came here through circumstances of history, through our connected histories, those who came in search of education or opportunities, and now there is this growing number of Indian professionals and students who are now reaching the highest echelons in every walk of life, in academic, in culture, in business, in the best of French organizations. And I'm confident that they are going to make an even greater contribution towards building the India-France partnership. But one very interesting thing is that more and more of them are coming into public life. More and more of them are taking the course of being elected representatives, not just of the Indian community, but of people in France at large. It's so heartening to see a new generation of people of Indian origin who are competing in the electoral politics, who are getting elected, and who are either at the municipal level or at higher levels of representation in state bodies, and now increasingly in the assembly too. And I'd want you to meet them, since you are yourself a person who represents those who are in the elected offices. So may I invite you to join members of the Indian community, 9 of whom are here to join us for a photo opportunity with the elected representatives of Indian origin. It's a new trend, but one that is growing.
With this, we come to the end of a great evening. Thank you once again for being such a lovely audience. Light refreshments are waiting for everyone outside. Namaste, good evening, and Boswai.